The full text has concluded. Please, my dear readers, feel free to continue watching without worrying. Now, the main story begins. My childhood friend is a high-cold little crybaby. He has a cherished little list of wishes. The contents of this list always leave me both amused and exasperated. He worked hard to make a little money on his own. With my small savings in hand, I dreamt of marrying a boy I adored. After entering university, I encouraged him to pursue the most popular guy on campus. But he hid under the covers, crying with eyes blurred by tears. He blamed me for bullying him. It wasn't until later that I suddenly realized the boy he adored so much was always me. My childhood friend, Liu Ryan, is a stunningly beautiful woman with an aloof personality. Not only is she outstanding in her academics, she is pure and lovely in appearance. And she is an absolute expert in music theory. Everyone says she is an unreachable flower on the high mountain because she truly speaks very little. She is extremely cold and distant. Her social circle is exceedingly limited. Her life is simple. It's either school or home. At most, she would go to study music. She practically gave no chance for any boy to get closer to her. Boys who liked her would give her love letters. She wouldn't even accept them. Instead, her small hand would quietly pull out her phone from her bag. She would quickly type out a line of text saying sorry. I'm not interested in having a relationship right now. And then she would turn around and leave gracefully, leaving the boys in the wind utterly confused. My friends were all curious and asked me about her. How did I get along with this ice-cold beauty? She's so cold when we were together. Was it just me all on my own, chattering endlessly? Talking? But it really wasn't the case. They had no idea at all. Behind the scenes, Liu Ryan not only talks a lot, but she's also extremely warm toward me. Every day, she would send me a goodnight message. I've known Liu Ryan since kindergarten. Our moms were close friends, and our dads were old business partners. Our two families lived right across from each other. When we were little, she used to cry a lot. We often played together. It was almost like we were inseparable. She would push me on the swing. I'd play house with her. We'd also often build sandcastles downstairs. Whenever I caused a fuss and angrily said to her, I never want to play with you again, her round, big eyes would lower, looking so innocent with eyes all red from tears. And then she'd quickly start crying pitifully. Even though she was the one crying, she would stubbornly try to comfort me. She'd awkwardly touch my face and beg, please, can I be your little wife, Zida? Her eyes full of pleading, staring at the fashionable wig she had, trying to negotiate with me. Can I, Zidata? Liu Ryan would cautiously watch my face, afraid I'd get mad again. I'd immediately pull a face like I was in a Sichuan opera, turning my anger into happiness. Well, I'll reluctantly let you be my little wife, just this once. Let's make it happen. The time when Liu Ryan cried the hardest was in the first grade of elementary school. We were moving. Grandma had trouble with her legs, and the apartment didn't have an elevator. My parents had no choice but to decide to move. We moved from the 7th floor, right across from Liu Ryan, to a lower floor on the 1st floor of the same building. Somehow, Liu Ryan got wind of the news. In a hurry, she ran to my house and blocked the door. She cried like a little hunter, wiping her tears, asking me if I would forget about her. I was a bit dazed. I was about to say, we're still in the same building, aren't we? Is this really something to be so emotional about? But before I could speak, she reassured herself, saying, it's okay. I'll come running down to see you on my own. She turned around every few steps, warning me not to play with the chubby little girl downstairs. In the end, she gave me my favorite Doraemon doll as a parting gift. Although Liu Ryan's beauty had already reached the pinnacle of the goddess level, her life goals were surprisingly simple. Make money, find a husband. That's my summary of her dream. This dream had been deeply rooted in her bones since she was 7 years old. Liu Ryan's bedroom had a huge Doraemon money jar. It was placed right by her bedside. She would store the little money she saved in it, the red envelopes my parents gave her, the pocket money she earned by doing household chores. She put it all in there. The jar looked full of money. One day, I went to her bedroom to play. After a while, I got a bit tired. I casually glanced over at her prominent money jar. My curiosity immediately piqued. I walked over and, pretending to be nonchalant, asked her, "Liu Ryan, how much money do you have saved up now?" Before my hand even touched it, she had already raised her little short leg and marched over to me angrily. She slapped my hand away. Her tone was fierce. "Don't touch it." "Fine, I won't look then." I felt a little wronged. I sat on the couch, hugging a pillow. I was a little upset. She sighed in exasperation and walked over to me. Sitting down beside me, she explained to me seriously, "That's for my future husband." Finding a husband is such a big deal? I got even angrier. She gave me an overly indulgent smile. Then she took out 20 yuan from the money jar. With a wave of her hand, she said, "Here, take it. Go buy some spicy snacks with it." Yay! I smiled so happily, like a complete fool. Later, we both got into the same 985 university. In high school, we were in different classes. She studied the arts. I studied the sciences, but my grades were only slightly behind hers, even though our grades were similar. There are so many good 985 universities. It was pretty miraculous that we ended up at the same one. Liu Ryan called this fate, destined to be. What nonsense! I tilted my head and asked her, "Did you secretly look at my application choices?" She smiled slightly, but didn't answer me. Then she reached out and pinched my face. "Hey, what are you doing?" I puffed up my cheeks, protesting angrily. She laughed freely in the sunlight. Her hand, still pinching my face, didn't let go. She really was so beautiful. Alright, I give in. In the end, I had to lower my head and complain. "My face has been pinched by you since it was this big. If it gets any bigger, you'll have to take responsibility." "Alright, I'll take responsibility." Liu Ryan bent down, her gaze fixed on me as she smiled. In university, because Liu Ryan had a face that could make both gods and men jealous. With her stunning looks, she quickly became famous on campus. Not only was she frequently posted on the confession wall, but she was also unanimously regarded as the school's joke in the nicest way. Wherever she went, she attracted attention. Back in school, I could walk beside her, laughing and joking around. Even if we were playfully teasing each other, no one would care. But now, I couldn't do that anymore. I was afraid of attracting unwanted attention. Liu Ryan was exceptionally good at music. Every time there was a music performance, the stage and the area around it would be packed with her admirers. That day, I was in the dorm, lazily scrolling through videos. Suddenly, my roommates burst in excitedly. They ran around, gossiping. "Hey, did you hear? Isn't the school beauty, your childhood friend, Liu Ryan, really into the campus idol, Zhou Yan? Do they have something going on?" Zhou Yan was the elegant male god from the School of Fine Arts, the university's recognized campus heartthrob. He was also the leader of the guitar club. Because both were so good looking, many people on the confession wall paired them up as a couple. They even thoughtfully edited their photos together. One of my roommates pushed his phone in front of me. In the photo, Liu Ryan and Zhou Yan were in the same frame. It seemed like Liu Ryan had just finished a music performance. Zhou Yan was helping her pack away her instruments. The boy in the photo had fair skin. He was tall and built. He made the beautiful school goddess seem even smaller and more delicate. The two of them, the talented man and the beautiful woman, under the sunlight, looked like they had stepped right out of a youth drama. I didn't know who had captured this moment, but the confession wall instantly exploded. The bystanders were going wild in the comments. "They're together. I can stay single for life, but this couple has to be locked down. Oh my god. This is the cold, high beauty school goddess versus the elegant campus idol. I'm reading books, but I'm getting fed dog food. Who understands the sorrow of a single dog? Look at this beautiful scene. I'm shipping this couple now. Thinking about how Liu Ryan had been saving up for her future husband since she was 7, I passionately commented on the campus idol. The campus idol marries the school goddess as his wife. No sooner had I posted it than, within 2 seconds, the school goddess, Liu Ryan herself, sent me a private message on WeChat. Say that again. And attached an extremely angry emoji. The alarm went off, but I didn't realize the seriousness of the situation. With a teasing tone, I repeated that phrase, the school heartthrob married the school beauty as his wife. That's too much. Liu Ruyan sent me a voice message. Her voice was a bit choked. Listening carefully, I cautiously asked Liu Ruyan, "Are you crying again?" This time, he didn't send a voice message. He firmly typed 2 words. Stubbornly, he said no. Then he awkwardly added, "I'm not a crybaby. Past experience told me." Liu Ruyan had definitely cried again. I could easily make her cry. Back when we were in high school, I didn't have time for breakfast in the morning. My stomach was growling with hunger. After class, Liu Ruyan bought me a bunch of food. She bought so much. I couldn't finish it all. The girl sitting next to me didn't have breakfast either. She was staring at my food. Feeling kind, I shared some with her. Liu Ruyan wasn't happy. On the way home from school, she kept sulking. She kept a 3-meter distance from me. "What's wrong?" I asked as I walked quickly to catch up. She tugged at my sleeve. "It's nothing." She wiped her tears. Her eyes were red. "Wasn't your leg fine just now? Is it hurting now?" I asked with some concern. In the afternoon, Liu Ruyan went to get some water. She saw a few of the spirited girls on campus, bullying a new girl without any restraint. Without saying a word, she heroically rushed to save the girl. She took the girls down. She had them under control in no time. And he only suffered a light injury. He was kicked by the tough girl leader. The classmates all said the class monitor was so cool. Not only were his grades excellent, but he also had the strength and a strong sense of justice. Of course, Liu Ruyan's dad is a black belt, 9th Dan. In order for his precious daughter to grow up without being bullied, he personally trained her since she was little. I don't even know how he managed to endure all that hardship. I followed him like a little tail, asking questions non-stop. Finally, he couldn't take it anymore. When he stopped and looked at me, the tears started to fall. "Why did you give away the breakfast I bought for you? To someone else? And it was a girl? What's wrong? If I couldn't finish it, isn't it right to give it to a classmate? Do classmates really need to be divided by gender?" I calmly explained to him. "Didn't you say that classmates should help each other? When you were class monitor, didn't you say that on stage?" I felt like he was purposely looking for trouble. You, double quotes. He was getting more and more flustered. He couldn't win the argument. I just gave him a nonchalant look. He got so mad. When we got back, he slammed the door with a loud bang. I ignored him. Even on the way home, I quickly forgot about the whole thing. I turned on the TV to watch a drama. I was so happy watching it. Soon, he sent me a WeChat message. "I didn't eat today because I'm mad at you." He sounded so wronged. "You know, you yelled at me so loudly today. I had to defend myself. I didn't yell at you. I just raised my voice a bit." Then he switched to a voice message. It was all soft and cute. His voice was a little hoarse. "Are you not going to comfort me?" I was sure. Absolutely sure. Liu Ruyan was mad. Because, for the first time ever, he sent me a message to tell me that he wasn't going home with me today. He said the family driver would take me home. Both Liu Ruyans and my families live in the capital. There are so many good universities in the capital. The school we go to is really close to home. It only takes about 20 minutes to get there. Last weekend, Liu Ruyan mysteriously told me he was going to take me somewhere today, and then we'd go home together. But as it turns out, I made him angry. The house was so close. I replied on WeChat saying I could go home by myself. I didn't need the driver to pick me up. I'm not a 3-year-old. I'm a Superman. He replied instantly, and I could tell from the screen. His tone was unnegotiable. The driver is already here. Don't argue with me. The road is unsafe. I couldn't believe it. He was still worried about my safety while angry. So I had no choice but to follow his orders. I got into his family's driver's car and went home. When I got home, just as I was taking out my keys, before I could even put the key in the door, my mom opened the door from inside. With a mysterious look, my mom yanked me inside. How did you make Ziyan cry again? You don't even know. When she came back, she was crying terribly. Her eyes, they were so swollen, they looked like to walnuts. She saw me and wiped her tears away. She was forcing herself to be strong. She politely lowered her head and greeted me. Then she even asked about me. She asked if I had eaten lunch. It broke my heart. Mom, I didn't. I'm more wrong than Do-e. How come you didn't even ask? You just came in and blamed me for making her cry. My mom was speechless as she pinched me. Then tell me, who else could possibly have the ability to make her cry? Her words left me speechless. My mom was really upset. She kept pushing me toward the door. Her face was full of worrying. Quickly, go check on Ziyan. Her parents aren't home today. What if she's home alone and cries herself to death? What do I do? I've never heard of someone dying from crying. My mom didn't have the patience to argue with me. She kicked me out with her foot. Go now! Stop talking so much. Ooh, who's the real parent here? I went to Liu Ruyan's house. I knocked, but no response. So I had to enter with the door code. Our families had shared door codes for a long time, a sign of our close relationship. I walked in. The house was eerily quiet. Liu Ruyan's bedroom door was slightly ajar. I looked up and saw her lying on the bed from afar, curled up like a little cat. The blanket covered her head. I could faintly hear the sound of soft sobs coming from the room. It came in intermittent bursts. I stood outside the door and knocked. Liu Ruyan didn't respond. Liu Ruyan, can I come in? She still didn't respond. All right, then I'll leave. Come in, she said, her voice barely audible as she clutched the blanket. I walked to the edge of the bed. The big fluffy cat on the bed shifted to the right, seemingly not wanting me to see her crying. I couldn't help but smile. I thought, why is she so adorable? I fought to control the corners of my mouth from lifting. I poked her back gently. Liu Ruyan, what's wrong? Are you crying? Her whole body was stubborn, but her mouth was the hardest part. Her voice was barely a whisper, hoarse from crying. Yet she still refused to admit it, saying, No, I'm not. Really, I said. Then let me see. I couldn't help but smile again. I reached over and pulled the blanket off her head. She struggled against me, refusing to let me see. I didn't have much strength, and I couldn't pull it off. I tried a couple of times, but couldn't budge it. I gave up and decided to fall back on an old trick. I would retreat to advance. I smiled slyly. Well, I guess I'll just leave then. I won't bother with you anymore. Go ahead and cry if you want to. I stood in place, kicking the floor with exaggerated force, creating the illusion that I was about to leave. Sure enough, the little crybaby couldn't resist. In a second, she pulled back the blanket and sat up. Her hair was a bit messy, falling straight over her forehead. Her jawline was sharply defined. I raised my eyes to look at her. I was completely stunned. Oh my god. How long did she cry to get to this point? Her usual captivating peach blossom eyes were swollen from the tears. Her double eyelids turned into triple eyelids. Liu Ruyan was wearing a pink sweatshirt with a stunningly beauty face. While crying, she looked at me and said, Ji Bo Dao, you're really too much. She cried so hard, it was almost incoherent. It was so funny, I almost died laughing. I don't know why, but every time I see her cry, I just want to laugh. A wicked thought crossed my mind. She looked so fragile. I really wanted to mess with her a little. Make her cry even harder. You're laughing at me? She glared at me as she cried. Her crying became more intense. I was laughing so hard my stomach hurt. I tried to hold it in, waving my hands. I'm not laughing. Sorry, you can continue. Liu Ruyan seemed to have suffered a huge injustice. Her storm of tears seemed unstoppable. Her little mouth kept babbling. I just think you ... You're really too cruel. She kept crying while wiping her tears. How could you say that to me? What did I say? I was completely clueless, the crying little troublemaker. Liu Ruyan sobbed. You encouraged me to be with Zhou Yan. Ooh, I saw it. I was so... She wiped her tears again. Her clingy gaze fixed on me. Her nose was red from crying. Her eyelashes trembled slightly. It just makes me feel like you don't care at all. And when you came back today... You were sitting downstairs watching videos. The girl was smiling so happily. And you didn't even come up to check on me first. I saw everything. Liu Ruyan covered her face with both hands, crying uncontrollably. I feel so sad. Really, I feel like I'm not even Liu Ruyan anymore. Hey, haha. I laughed so hard my stomach hurt. Oh my god, laughing like this really hurts. Sorry, I really couldn't hold it in. Her brows and eyes were tightly pulled together, looking like a little wife. Tears never stopped falling. I pinched my thigh hard, seriously apologizing to her. Sorry, next time. I won't joke around. I won't watch beautiful girls in front of you anymore, okay? Please forgive me this time. I thought this round would just end there. But Liu Ruyan turned out to be a genius at logic. And she wasn't playing by the rules. Not watching them in front of me? So what you mean is, you're still watching behind my back. She cried again. I was numb. Stop crying. I wanted to sit beside her. She instinctively moved over a bit. Her eyes clouded with mist. I patted the bed beside me. Come sit here, I'll sit next to you. I patted her back. I instantly made a promise. Okay, I won't look anymore, alright? I was honestly scared she might cry herself to death in one breath. What if it spreads out to others? 175 centimeters, the campus beauty of a university, crying to death at home. That would really be a sin. I picked up the hot water from the table and handed it to her. Here, drink some water. Replenish some fluids. I don't want it, she said, still a bit prideful. Alright, if you don't want it, you don't have to. Before I could put the cup down, her babyish voice came again. The tone was as pitiful as possible. I'm like this. And you still won't feed me? I felt like she had completely got me. I gritted my teeth. I brought the water to her lips. She opened her mouth, and I started feeding her the water. She stared at me directly. Her eyes seemed to be glued to me, and I felt shy, my ears turning red. I glanced at her. I was surprised to see that her ears were also faintly pink. Could she be shy too? I didn't even realize when. Her head had naturally rested on my shoulder. I know I was wrong. I won't do it again, okay? The campus heartthrob isn't your type? Now I know. I don't like him. She turned the tables and asked, what kind of girl do you like? I answered without thinking, not sure. Anyway, I don't like ones who cry too much. As soon as I finished speaking, the tears she had been holding back burst out like a dam breaking. She lowered her head, looking at me, and the tears came pouring down. She cried like a waterfall. Do I fit the type you like? I don't cry, okay? Maybe you should listen to what you're saying. She emphasized again that she didn't cry much. Can you like me? Wow, really? Are you confessing? I'm someone who easily misunderstands things. Hearing her say that My face, all the way to my neck, turned completely red. It was so awkward, I quickly changed the subject. Liu Ruyan, what happened to the money in your piggy bank? Last time I was in your room, the money was piled up so high it was about to overflow. She wiped away her tears and said, "No need, let's talk about it tomorrow. I didn't take you out today. Sorry. I'll take you out tomorrow." She even made a childish pinky swear with me, saying if I didn't go to find her tomorrow, I'd be the little cat. But today, you're the one who broke the promise. I felt like she was turning the blame on me. The girl suddenly leapt into my arms, holding my waist tightly. "Then I'll be the little cat." She looked up at me with her sweet, innocent face. My heart was about to jump out of my chest. Annoying, these boundary-less beauties. If you want me dead, just say it directly. Don't kill me with your looks. The next morning, I went to the market with my mom to buy vegetables. Carrying 2 pounds of pork and humming a little tune, I passed by an alley. Coincidentally, I saw 2 or 3 delinquent boys surrounding a frail little husband, trying to rob him. I focused and looked closely, and it turned out to be the campus heartthrob. He was wearing a refined Armani suit, clutching his wallet tightly. A yellow-haired teenager swaggered over. They cornered him against the wall. "Quick, give me the money. Stop stalling. You really don't want to lose a few pounds, do you? To rob someone in broad daylight." My blood pressure spiked instantly. I tossed the pork package, and it hit him square in the neck. "Who's the guy on the grass by the internet cafe?" The delinquent teen grimaced, clutching his injured neck. He turned to look at me, his eyes full of murderous intent. I delivered a lightning-fast Leo kick. His body crumpled with a loud smack. He hit the ground, groaning in pain, searching for his teeth. The campus heartthrob, seeing me like a savior, grabbed my hand. His voice trembled. I gave him a look, signaling him. "Kid, you better step aside. Be careful, I might accidentally hit you." Another bald-headed thug sneered. "Here comes another idiot looking for a fight. I'm fighting shit." Without further ado, I slapped him across the face, and then slapped the next one. The guy on the ground still hadn't gotten up, so I slapped him again, sending him flying. Where did these punks come from? Such a young age, already learning the wrong things. In just a few moves, I took them all down. Who says black belts are useless? Finally, my training was coming in handy. When we were kids, Liu Ruyan used to practice taekwondo, and she dragged me along every time. She said if she wasn't around, I should learn it for self-defense. Back then, I thought she was just talking nonsense. But now, I see she was right all along. You waited for the gang leader to clutch his swollen face after being slapped. He threw harsh words my way, but before my slap even fully landed, those little rascals had already fled faster than anyone else. I chased them off. No need to be scared anymore. With a flick of my fingers, I brushed the dust off my clothes, sweeping away the chaos. "Thank you," the school idol whispered softly. So gentle and pitiful, like a scene out of a melancholy painting. I felt a bit proud. "No worries, should I keep the live broadcast on?" I asked him, "What are you doing here? Looking for Liu Ruyan, perhaps?" For the school idol to appear in this area at this hour, I could only think of this reason. But his shy expression threw me off. "I'm here to find Shin Yechu," he confessed. Shin Yechu, our neighboring university's campus beauty. Their school is only 5 minutes away from my house. I processed it for a moment, then suddenly realized, wait a second. Don't you like Liu Ruyan? The school idol's face grew serious. "Yeah, I do. But who says I can only like one beauty? I can admire multiple at the same time, can't I?" In that instant, his perspective expanded dramatically. I gave him a big thumbs up. "That's the spirit." I patted his shoulder. "You've got my full support. We're truly kindred spirits." Looking back on my 18 years of life, I've admired countless beauties, but there was only one whose world seemed to revolve around heartbreak. That was Liu Ruyan. She had cried so many times in sadness, and often it was because of my endless admiration for other beauties. For a while, silence lingered between us. Then the school idol pulled me aside to a quieter spot. His eyes darted around nervously. The surroundings were empty. Leaning close to my ear, he whispered, "For saving me. I'll tell you a secret, but you must promise not to tell anyone else." I nodded. He paused for a moment, then said, "Listen, that Liu Ryan is actually a total player." Hearing this, my eyes widened in disbelief, staring at him. A giant question mark slowly rose in my mind. It was clear to see. The school idol was puffed up with anger. He earnestly complained, "Isn't it obvious? She's gorgeous. Her figure is perfect, and yet she's unattainable for us. Isn't that the very definition of a player?" That logic actually made a strange kind of sense. The school idol continued, "Let me tell you, does she even like anyone? Last week, when I confessed to her, she told me directly." The school idol pulled out his phone, flipping through photos. He pointed at the screen. "It's this guy." On the screen, there was a picture of me and Liu Ryan from our kindergarten days. That day, Liu Ryan had shown me some photos of corpses, and while she wasn't looking, I secretly took a picture of us together. He said she admitted to having someone she liked, her childhood sweetheart. The school idol recounted the story in a calm tone, but as the listener, my heart was already racing. My mind felt like a fireworks display exploding wildly. I was utterly shocked. "Are you sure she was talking about this childhood sweetheart?" I pointed at the photo. "Absolutely," the school idol replied, looking at my disbelieving expression. The school idol saw me staring intently at the phone screen. Wait, you've misunderstood." He pointed. "It's the one on the left, wearing the blue padded jacket. The one crying with a runny nose, that's Liu Ryan." The school idol laughed. "Bet you didn't see that coming, huh? Usually, she looks so composed and cold, but behind the scenes, she's just a little crybaby." He glanced at the photo again, then shifted his gaze to my face. "Wait, hold on a second. Something's not adding up. The boy standing next to her looks a lot like you." I couldn't believe this guy's sharp eye. "Is there even a chance that it's not similar? Maybe. Are you saying that you are her childhood sweetheart?" He patted my shoulder. Hell's ruler himself has a crush on Liu Ryan. This sudden CP moment hit him hard. Can let out an audible gasp. "Really? Oh my god. Do you even know how crazy this is? When I read novels, the trope I love most is the childhood sweetheart trope like yours. As a pure bystander, let me ask, are you guys together? Have you kissed yet? Or better yet, let me join your group chat with her. I swear I won't say anything. Can I pay to watch you to date?" "Calm down, school idol. We're still just friends." I pulled his hand off my shoulder. His eyes sparkled with heart-shaped pupils, and he got even more excited. "So, you two are the highest tier of romance novel tropes. Childhood sweethearts secretly in love with each other. School idol, please, I need you to stay calm." But to be fair, he wasn't entirely wrong. The truth is, I've been secretly in love with Liu Ryan for a long time now. So long that I can't even remember when I first started liking her. I think it's more about the feelings that built up over time. After all, I've never believed in love at first sight. I'm someone who clings to the past. Before we moved for the third time, we'd already moved twice. I love the pork buns sold by Granny Huang at the corner of West Street. Our homes were far apart, one to the east, the other to the west. The distance was significant, but nearly every weekend, Liu Ryan would go out of her way to buy them for me. I felt bad for her. Every time, I'd scold her until she cried. But the next time, she'd still go. She'd tearfully say, "Don't you like them? As long as you're happy." When I got sick, the first person I saw when I opened my eyes was her. I hated taking medicine, so she'd sit there pouting and looking wrong, crying while feeding me the medicine. She'd coax me into taking it obediently. There are so many memories. Without realizing it, All those happy and sad moments. It seemed like she was always a part of the important phases in my life. How could I not like her? Especially when I hate seeing girls cry. But for her, I made an exception. The feelings I had for Liu Ryan swirled endlessly in my mind. Distracted. I had dinner at home before heading to school. Liu Ryan had asked me to meet her in the rehearsal room. There was a big music performance coming up, and she had landed the role of the main center. So she needed to combine singing and dancing, which was exhausting. Their training schedule was incredibly intense. The rehearsal room was empty. Liu Ryan, are you here? Come in, girl. A pleasant, low voice called out from inside. Without much thought, I walked in. Liu Ryan had just finished changing into her performance outfit. White over-the-knee socks paired with a white short skirt, accentuating her figure and charm to the fullest. She looked exceptionally sweet. What are you staring at? Liu Ryan crossed her arms and gave me a doting look. On nothing. I stammered, completely dumbfounded. My soul had practically drifted away. Her figure is amazing, I thought absent-mindedly. Ji Batao, why are you getting a nosebleed again? Her words snapped me back to reality in an instant. She hurried over and pressed a hand to my neck. Lift your head, I'll take you to clean up, she said gently. Great! Once again, I had managed to embarrass myself in front of her. Why do you get nosebleeds so often? She asked with a teasing tone. Feeling wronged, I wanted to cry. With tissues stuffed in both nostrils, I mumbled. What do you mean? I like it. It's not like I can control this. You already look like a total goddess. How am I supposed to stay calm? She burst out laughing, watching me struggle with my words. You get nosebleeds just from looking at me? Do you ... like me? Her question completely floored me, but I decided to turn the tables, just like she usually did. What about you? Do you like me? Her clear eyes suddenly took on a hint of ambiguity. She reached out to stroke my hair, her touch unbelievably tender. I do, I like you a lot, she confessed. Tears welled up in my eyes. If you like me, why didn't you tell me sooner? As I spoke, tears started streaming down my face. I could have been shamelessly admiring her figure all this time, but instead, I dragged it out until now. Just thinking about it feels like such a loss. Don't cry, Liu Ryan said when she saw me tearing up. She started crying too, then threw herself into my arms. It's all my fault, okay? I was planning to take you to see our wedding house yesterday, but you got me so upset again. Wedding house? I asked, looking down at her. Yeah, she replied, I used the money I've been saving since kindergarten to buy a wedding house. It's right across from your favorite street, Quihu Street. If you pull back the curtains, you can see the lake across the street. I was planning to confess to you there yesterday, but I know you don't like flowers, so I just bought one single flower, and with the rest of the money, I got you an Alienware gaming set. No wonder all the money in the piggy bank disappeared, I muttered. And you even got the full Alienware set? I felt like crying even more. Wiping the tears from the corners of my eyes, I asked, what if I hadn't agreed? Don't cry, she said. It hurts my heart to see you like this. She wiped away my tears, but she was crying her eyes out too. Her voice was warm and soft. If you didn't agree, I'd just keep pursuing you, chasing and chasing until you say yes. Anyway, there aren't any other girls around you, right? That comment annoyed me. What do you mean? Like I'm someone no one wants? All those girls ran away because you scared them off, didn't they? Liu Ryan flung herself back into my arms, pouting, I'm jealous, as we were being all lovey-dovey. Her teammate's voice suddenly came from the doorway. Captain, are you really skipping the celebration party? I'm not going, Liu Ryan replied firmly. I knew their team had won the championship this time, and that there would be a celebration party, but I didn't know it was today. I raised my hand, but I want to go. Liu Ryan turned and shouted toward the door. Fine, I'm going. Wait for me. Her teammate was speechless. Since when did you have to faces? At the celebration party, Liu Ryan held my hand as we walked in. The room was filled with countless female voices. And even I, usually the extrovert, felt a bit shy. Wow, what's going on here? The captain finally made the unyielding iron tree bloom. Congrats to the captain, years of secret love finally paid off. Can't even have a celebration without being fed couple energy. What's the world coming to? Get lost. Liu Ryan's ears turned red for once. She tightened her grip on my hand. Don't scare my husband away, she muttered. Oh my god, the captain's blushing too. A certified innocent university student, for sure. Some people watch the ocean, some people are loved, and some, like stray dogs by the roadside, just keep getting snubbed and discarded. Liu Ryan's words sparked a fresh wave of teasing. She led me to find a seat and pulled me down next to her. Just as I sat down, the girl sitting to my right, a sweet and delicate-looking one, started a conversation as if we were old friends. Bro, choosing our captain. You've really struck gold. Our captain is the best of the best among women. As cool as they come. You'll realize more and more of this as you get to know her better. I thought of all the times Liu Ryan had dramatically cried in front of me, and I had to stifle my laughter. I gave her a thumbs up. It was indeed quite sarcastic. Of course, the girl continued, her energy growing. Her eyes were sparkling with excitement. Our Liuya is truly a hexagonal player. Any instrument, any dance, she masters it effortlessly. We, team, all look up to her. We've never seen her fail at anything. I listened as she described Liu Ryan through her eyes. Liu Ryan tossed a napkin at her. Alright, enough. Who told you to talk to my husband? Jealous, are we? The captain was getting flustered. I backed off, the girl silently shifting her seat under Liu Ryan's sharp gaze. She distanced herself from me. Liu Ryan pulled my hand under the table. She blew lightly into my ear. Don't talk to her. She whispered. Liu baby, you're so clingy. I couldn't help but sigh. I couldn't hold her hand anymore, but I gently rubbed my fingers against her palm. She pinched my face, not answering. Happiness overflowed from her expression. Under the table, she kept holding my hand, refusing to let go. We ate for a while, but suddenly, Liu Ryan's eyes started to redden. The first one to notice was, surprisingly, the little girl who had been pushed away earlier. The girl handed her a tissue. She seemed a bit at a loss. Captain, what's wrong? Your eyes are all red. Did you get some chili in your eyes? This spicy rabbit dish. Yes, it's really spicy. Liu Ryan didn't make a sound. She shook her head but kept holding my hand tightly. She set down her chopsticks. Tears streamed down her face. Everyone was stunned. They had never seen such a scene. The more she spoke, the more she cried. Eventually, she stopped caring and cried out loud. Her sobs were loud and uncontrollable. I felt like I was in a dream. I was really with the boy I had liked for so many years. We were together. The crowd looked completely confused. I was familiar with this scene. I knew this would happen. I patted Liu Ryan's shoulder. Liu Bao, be good, drink some hot water. Replenish your energy. You guys don't need to worry. Go ahead, keep eating, I said, leaving everyone stunned. Is this still the captain we know? After dinner, Liu Ryan took me to his new house. He left his teammates standing outside in the cold wind. They were speechless, confused. As I stepped into the house, I felt like I had stepped right into the picture I had drawn in my childhood. It was almost identical. I remember when I was little, I often played house with Liu Ryan. I would first draw a picture, pretend that it was my wedding house. The house was a 3-bedroom, 2-living-room place. There was a study. In the study, shelves were filled with books I loved to read. One shelf was filled with cultivation novels. Another shelf was filled with philosophy books. The last shelf had history books. Beside the bookshelf was a pot of baby's breath, because I loved them. The master bedroom had a huge walk-in closet. The duvet cover had to be Doraemon themed. There would be a photo of me and my wife hanging by the bed. And there was also a nursery. reserved for our baby. Liu Ryan held my hand as we walked into the master bedroom. The duvet was Doraemon themed. I looked up and saw the photo by the bed. It was a photo of me and Liu Ryan taken after the college entrance exams. Our parents had taken us on a trip to Shanghai. We were standing on the bund in Shanghai, our heads touching. I remember that day so clearly. I even scolded Liu Ryan for not looking at the camera. He wasn't looking at the lens. In the photo, I was smiling sweetly at the camera, while Liu Ryan, the other protagonist, was looking down. His eyes focused on me. He smiled sweetly, his admiration for me spilling over like a secret. It turns out he had really liked me all along. I was just too slow to notice. "Do you like me?" Liu Ryan asked. "I really like you," I replied. I felt so useless. A wave of emotion hit and I almost cried. It turned out that the words I casually said, the drawings I made on a whim, were things that he remembered, things that were etched into his soul. He noticed my shift in mood immediately. Without hesitation, he jumped into my arms. "Why are you crying again? Why do I always make you cry?" I wrapped my arms around her waist, burying her face in my chest. I heard a familiar sob that wasn't mine. I asked, "Then why are you crying?" She cleared her throat and said, "Because I'm happy. Let's get married after graduation." "I'll try my best," she said. "I'll be a good wife." She promised me, laughing through her tears. I gently patted her back. "Are you crazy? Seriously, we're just two little silly puppies." She wasn't really hurt, but the corners of her mouth curled up in a smile. She cupped my face and kissed me. The kiss started gently, then deepened. After our parents found out that we were dating, they were overjoyed. My dad laughed and said, "Our son got such a great catch. It was mostly because of me," he added. I gritted my teeth in jealousy and said, "Thanks. Can't deny it, you're my real dad," I muttered. Liu Ryan's mom was even more dramatic. Before we were even married, she gave me a few sets of property. She was worried I might run away. She held my hand, looked at me seriously, and said, "Zida, you're a good kid. After you're married, try not to make this kid cry." Auntie, I'm really not that kind of person. After we graduated from college, Liu Ryan couldn't wait any longer, so she took me to the Civil Affairs Bureau to register our marriage. At the wedding, my bride, Liu Ryan, wore a pure white wedding dress. She looked like a flower that had fallen from the clouds. She walked toward me, graceful and dignified. The skirt of her dress sparkled like a flowing galaxy. It shone with tiny lights, and with each step, it rippled like a dream. Before I knew it, we looked at each other and smiled. But as we smiled, we both started to cry. Through the tears, I seemed to see the little crying girl from my childhood, smiling and waving at me. Luckily, we've always been together, never far apart. So, my dear little crybaby, will you be my wife? Tears from the young girl fell to the ground. Amid the blessings of everyone, she boldly jumped into the boy's arms. She said the words that had been waiting for over 20 years. "Long time no see, my dear little one," the end.